Hey guys, Cactuz here. Welcome back to my Cactuzville channel. If you watched my first video in this series, you'll have seen us create a basic simulator egg. Well, today we're going to take that basic egg and then we're going to edit it in various different ways. But first we want to make multiple copies of the original egg. So what we could do is press Alt D to duplicate the egg, and if we press the right mouse button it will snap back into the same position as the original, and then we can just move it using the move tool. And we can do this as many times as we want. However, there's a better way of doing this. I'll just zoom out. So if we go to the right and select Modifier Properties, select the Add modifier, and in this Generate column you select the Array modifier. Here you can select how many you want. Now at the moment, if I look, they're actually going in the wrong axes. I want them to go along the y-axis. So I'll change the x-axis to 0 and the y-axis to 1. Actually, I'll change that to 1.5 because I want a gap between them. And as you can see, they're all evenly spaced apart. So once I've done that, I can go up here to this drop down and select Apply. But if you notice, if I select one of them, it selects them all. That's because even though they look separate, they're actually only one object. So what we actually want to do is separate each of these eggs into individual items. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the Tab key to go into edit mode and press the A key to select all. Then we're going to press the P key and a little menu will pop up, and from here we want to select the Buy Loose Parts option at the bottom. And if we press the Tab key again to go into object mode, we can now individually select each of these eggs. And if we now look over to the top right of the screen, we can see that there are now 5 individual objects. This means that we can now edit each one individually. So now we're going to edit our first egg. However, I don't want to be distracted by all the other eggs, so I'm going to select one egg and then press Shift and H. That will hide everything else except for the object that I selected. But don't worry, you can bring them back just by pressing the Alt and the H key together. So I'll just press Shift and H again, and if you notice we can orbit around the egg, although it's not in the middle of the screen. So what we can do is press the period key on the numpad, and that will center the view around the object, as well as zooming in on it. Okay, now if we press the numpad 3 to look at a side view of this egg, we can press the Tab key to go into edit mode. Now I want to select this entire row, but if I do that, it will only select the faces that I could see. So if I want to select all of them, I have to go up here and select the X-ray option, or I can press Alt and Z. When I select them now, it actually selects them all. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to select Extrude Faces along normals. I'll actually talk about normals in a future video. And if we just inset it a bit. Now let's go down here to the material properties, and I'm going to create a new material for this. And I'm going to call it Inset. And I'll just give it a yellow colour. Now you notice it hasn't applied that, so what you have to do is select all the faces that you want to apply this to, then select the material you want, and then click on the Assign button. And there you have the egg. Right, now let's select this row here, and we'll do the same again. We'll right click and select Extrude Faces along normals, except this time we'll go out the way. So we've now created a band around the egg. Now if we want to give that a different colour, we go back to Material Properties panel, create a new colour and call it Band. And we'll just give it a simple green colour. And remember to assign it. Now I think what we actually want also is to colour the top edge of the band and the bottom edge of the band. And so if we're still in face select mode, hold down the Alt key and click the line between the two faces. This should select the entire top edge of the ring. And with that still selected, we can press Shift and Alt and do the same for the bottom half of the ring. And that will be both edges selected. And then if we just assign the same colour, it will be the whole band completed. And if we come out of edit mode, we can see that the band is all the way around. Now as I said before, if you press Alt and H, it will show all the eggs. So let's now go in and change this egg now. So let's press Shift and H again to hide all the other eggs. Now on the number pad we can press the dot to center the egg and the numpad 3 to align it to the front face. Now on this next egg I'm going to press the Tab key to go into edit mode, and I'm going to go up and press the X-ray button again, or Alt Z, and I'm going to select the same row as I did before. So I've selected the entire ring around the egg. But this time I'm going to go up here, press the select button and go down and select the checker deselect. What this is going to do is it's going to unselect each alternate face, like that. And if you've got an even number of faces, it will work out perfectly. If you've got an odd number, you might end up with two selected next to each other. So now what we're going to do is we're going to right click and select Extrude Faces along normals, and we're going to come out a little bit, and before we click I'm going to press the S key to scale the face. But as you can see, this is going a bit strange. It's not exactly what I was expecting. It kind of moves in the wrong direction. So what we have to do is we have to come up here and select this drop down, and then we have to change the pivot point to individual origins. So now when we press the S key and scale, it scales each individual face from the center of that face. Okay, so now we're going to select this next row, and we're going to go up and select check or deselect again. And just like before, we're going to right click and select Extrude Faces along normals, but this time I'm going to go in the way. And now I'm going to press S to scale and go into about here. And that's created an inset pattern. And we're going to try that again. I'm going to select this row here, go up to select and then check or deselect, and I'm going to right click and select Extrude Faces along normals, and I'll go out again and I'll scale it again. This time let's go to a small point like that. Now if we look at it, it looks a little bit strange. So now what we want to do to fix that is to select all these four edges. I'm holding down the shift key while I select these, and I'm just going to go around and select all of them. Now that's them all selected, I can right click and select Mark Sharp, and as you can see it marks these edges as being sharp. These will automatically be sharp, and the blend from the outer edge isn't sharp. So if we want them to be sharp as well, we have to select these four outer lines. And if I right click and select Mark Sharp again, I'll just show you the difference here. That's what it looked like compared to this one. So it's different looks. You might like this one or not, but I think this one probably for this model will look better. So I'm just going to go around and change all of them and just right click and Mark Sharp. So if we zoom out now, it now looks pretty good. So I've now shown you different ways to inset, scale and sharpen them. So we could change the colours of these again, so I'll just go into the edit mode and I'll make sure I'm on face select mode, which is 3 on the keyboard, and I'll just select all of these faces. And I'll create a new colour and I'll call it Inset, and I'll give it a colour of light blue. Now I'm going to select Alt Z and I'm going to select all of these, and I can actually unselect all the big pieces in between, and I might want to add these faces here. So I'm just going to go around and select all the top faces and the bottom faces as well. So I think that's them all. Oh, I missed one there. So now I'm going to create a new material for this, and we're going to call it Outer Flat, and I'll give it a nice green colour and assign it. And for these bottom ones I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to select them all and then unselect the big faces between them, and then I'm going to create a new colour and I'm going to call it Outer Pin because it's kind of pin shaped. And for this one I'm just going to make it limey green. We could actually select the inner ones and give it a different colour as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another new colour and I'm going to call it Inset Dark. So for this one I'm going to make it a darker blue and I'm going to assign it there. So you can make different patterns just by doing simple stuff like that. Obviously the colours aren't great, I'm just showing the concept. Okay, so now we're going to zoom out and I'm going to press the Alt H to show all 5 eggs. Now I'm going to select the next egg, press Shift and H, and then press the Tab key to go into edit mode. Okay, so we're going to select Alt Z again to enable the X-ray mode, and we'll go over to the left control panel and select the knife tool. Okay, so now we're going to go up the top here and we're going to make sure that the Occlude Geometry checkbox is not selected. So now I can click and draw a zigzag line. And when I get to the end I press the Enter key to complete it. Now if I go round and select all the faces above this line, then press the Delete key on my keyboard and select faces from the pop-up that appears. Now as you can see, the line that I drew has cut right the way through the egg. So this means that one side of the egg is a mirror version of the other side. And as you can see, if you do that you get shapes like this which look a bit weird. They're obviously mirrored and it doesn't look like a real broken egg. So instead I'm going to Alt-Z that to go back to where we were before. And this time I'm going to make sure that the occlude geometry is checked. This time I'm going to draw the zigzag line across the egg. And when I get to the end I'm just going to rotate it and continue going all the way around the egg. When I get back to the start, I'll press the Enter key to finalize it. And just like in the previous example, I'm going to delete all the faces above this line. And as you can see, this looks far better than before. It's all completely randomized going around. Okay, now I'm going to go over to the Material Properties panel on the right, and I'm going to change this one to a different color. I'm going to make it a light yellow, which will look more like an egg. Now I'm going to select the Modifier Properties panel, click Add Modifier, and in the Generate column I'm going to go down and select Solidify. And then all I have to do is change the thickness here to whatever we think looks best. And if you want to apply that modifier, we just go up to this drop down arrow and select Apply. So now we've completed our broken egg. So let's press Alt and H again to show all the eggs. So now you notice that all the eggs have changed from the pink colour to that yellow colour. That's because I changed the base colour for all the eggs. So whatever colour I change that base colour to will affect all the eggs. But if I didn't want that to happen and I wanted this one to be a different colour, then I'd select the egg and create a new colour and give it a name, say pink egg, and change it to a light pink colour. But unlike before, there's no apply button for this. So what I have to do is go up and select the original colour and then press the minus button here to remove it. And then that new colour will automatically replace it. Okay, so let's now go in and edit the fourth and last egg for today. So for this egg I want to select the knife tool again, and then I want to go up and make sure the occlude geometry is turned off. This is because I want the knife cuts to go right the way through the egg. So I'll just click and make a zigzag shape going across the egg, and then I'll put a second matching zigzag just underneath it, and then I think I'll create another one just underneath, and then put in my final line which will closely match the one above it. Okay, now I want to select all the faces that make up both of those zigzag lines by using the Shift key and clicking them. Okay, so that's me selected everything there. So now I'm going to right click and select Extrude Faces along normals, and I'm just going to go in a bit, like that, and I'm going to create a new colour and I'm going to call it Lightning. And I'm going to make this one a red colour, and then I'm going to click Assign. I think that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to now select all the faces in that central section, and I'm going to go across to the right and create another new material. I'll call this one Middle, and I think I'm going to make this one black. Well, maybe that's a bit too dark. I'll just edit again and move this slider up a bit to make it a dark grey. In fact, I'll make it a sort of dark burgundy colour. Yeah, I think that looks much better. Now obviously these edges don't look quite right being this yellow colour, so I'm going to make it the burgundy colour as well. So I'm going to make sure I'm in edit mode again, and I've got face select activated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Alt key and then click the line between the two faces on the edge. This should result in me selecting the entire top edge of this shape, and then I'm just going to go to the right and assign the colour. So now let's do the same for the bottom edge. Let's hold down Alt, select the edge, and then assign the burgundy colour to it. And that's a pretty nice egg, I think. Anyway, let's Alt H it so we can see all the eggs we've made today. So we've got the base egg, an egg created using the knife tool and with the occlusion checkbox turned off, a cracked egg with the occlusion selection checked and with a Solidify modifier, another egg with basic extrude and scaling, and another one with basic extrudes. Okay, so in the next video we're going to take these eggs as we've created them now, and we're going to change them in two ways. We're going to use gradients, and we're also going to use textures, and these should further improve on the colouring of these eggs. Doing what we've done here today is a good way to get the basic colours and ideas for your eggs before you refine their looks using more advanced techniques. Anyway, thanks once again for watching my video. If you could hit the like and subscribe button, it would really help this video reach a wider audience. Until next time, this is Cactus signing off.